On today's episode of the Apex, the podcast, the boys talked to Gnaske. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the interview. They had to schedule it while I was still at work, but the boys did a great job. Awesome interview with Gnaske. Really insightful. Get to hear about where he comes from and how he got into the Apex scene and how he got into professional, as well as some life advice for those trying to grind moving forward. The boys also go through the first 2 days of ALGS and break down everything that went down in the first 2 days, including all of the drama. And then on the other side, Finn gives a preview about some of the other regions and what we've been missing out on with those regions. And then we round out the show with the heart-to-heart. So ladies and gents, without further ado, let's get into the show. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Apex, the podcast. We are here, we are ready to go, and we are on take number 2 because we recorded this last night and Finn's audio just straight up disappeared. So we are going to be rehashing everything we talked about literally yesterday, and you're going to hear us say it all over again, despite the fact that you didn't hear us say it the first time. So, boys, we have so much to talk to. We have so much to talk about here today. We got 2 days of ALGS playoffs heading into split number 2 and so many storylines to go along with it. But before we get into all that, let's check in with everybody here. E, how you feeling, my man?
Feeling good. It's been a good week. Last couple of days on Apex have been a bit rough, but it's just a couple bad days on Apex. Everything for the most part, I got way more to be thankful for than I do to be upset about, and so I'm big chilling, big happy, and excited to just wake up, put in the work in each and every day, and then get closer to where I know I'm going.
Perfect. That's what we love to hear. Finn, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I say that last week, right about this time, I had my corgi puppy show up, and I was super stoked, and I still am stoked. It's just a week. I was super energized, and now I'm like less energized. Things have gotten a lot better, but the first few days were definitely rough. So, becoming a dog dad is just different, and I'm enjoying the process. But I am stoked to get this get her out of the puppy stage and not having to take her out every hour and a half, and that'd be great. But yeah, that's been me. Wyatt, how was your week been?
It's been a whirlwind. It's been pretty good. I can't really complain. Not too much to complain about. Yeah, lots in the works in my life right now, which I can get to at another time. But I'm feeling good, and I thoroughly enjoyed sitting down. And it was like, I don't know if it's quite at the same level for me yet, but I will say, after a long off season of waiting for the NFL to come back or the NHL to come back, and then you get that first game on TV, this felt very similar. Like getting the ALGS back, it hasn't even been that long, but it felt like forever for whatever reason. So getting it back on the computer screen, sitting down and watching it was awesome, and I can't wait to talk about it. But other than that, not too much shenanigans for me. Just the basic old classic lifestyle that I've been living. So yeah.
Wait, did you? I have to ask because you're a sports fanatic.
Yeah.
Did you put a bracket? Did you make a bracket yet?
No, but I've been listening to a bunch of shows trying to figure out where I stand on some of these teams, and then my sister sent me one because she actually lives in the Midwest, and I feel like college sports are a lot more prevalent Midwest, South, those areas. Here in like the West Coast, I don't feel the love as like people around. Like when I try to talk sports with people around here, I feel like I'm just. Yeah, I don't feel like I can have a legit conversation. When I go to those places, I feel like I can talk to anybody about it. So not too many people care about March Madness here, but I'll tell you what, when my sister sent me that bracket, I was like, I got you. I'm going to help you fill it out. I listened to a 2-hour-long podcast trying to figure out how I felt about some of the like fringe seeds, like the 8-9 seeds or the 12-5s. So I was trying to figure that out for her to try to help her win her bracket. But how's yours looking? You like it or
I
what?
haven't made one yet. No, I'm waiting for the games tonight, which is now a Tuesday. I'm trying to get waiting for those games to get filled out so that it can be like a complete bracket, and
Mhm.
then I do it. So tomorrow I will be doing that, and I will have an answer for you next week. But
Perfect.
I'm probably leaning more Purdue. I
You
think
like
is going to
Purdue?
be. Yeah, I kind of like
Hey,
Purdue.
the boys.
I was looking. I don't know. I don't know. I
I'm gonna go with Purdue. I haven't been paying attention at all, but
let's
that's my
just all go
favorite.
Purdue. We'll just all go Purdue.
Okay,
That's
we're
the
gonna go
boys.
Purdue.
There we go. The Boilermakers. We're a Boilermaker podcast. There we go. Perfect. Okay, ladies and gents, that should just about do it. Let's move it into the actual nitty gritty of the show. We've got ALGS stuff to talk about here, and it's exciting. Lots of storylines, lots of stuff to get to. Before we go into each day, I think we should go through some of the overall standings and some of the teams out there. And I would just like to point out there was a tweet that was tweeted 4 days ago by the Apex the Pod Twitter account. You
Go
guys are probably familiar. And it says we are going to your predictions going into Pro League Split 2. Who do you think is the top 3 for your favorite region going into this weekend? Now, me, okay, I looked at the rosters, I looked at the teams, I was looking around. I was like, I could say some of the answers I already said on the show, but I'm going into the underlying numbers, the sabermetrics heading into Split 2, and I threw out a team. I said Team FaZe. Everybody knows I'm a big Phony fan. I'm the leader of the Phony fan club. I host it, and if you want to join, feel free to tweet me at WyattBab on Twitter.com, and I will gladly accept you in. And I got a response from somebody saying that's about as good as your John Jones pick, because I picked that John Jones was going to lose last week, and I was getting roasted by some of our listeners. And lo and behold, sitting atop the standings is Team FaZe with Phony as their IGL. Snipe down, sitting there dominating in his controller era. And then we have Frex as well. The whole team is playing professionally. They're the best team in the league right now, albeit they have played 2 days and some teams haven't played 2 days. But I don't want to talk about that. Let's just talk about the fact that my prediction, when everybody shit on it, and I'm looking at all these responses here. I see 16 responses, not one other FaZe. Okay? I'm feeling great. My prediction is doing well. I'm feeling so good. But more seriously, guys, FaZe looked incredible. And I think now people are starting to really notice that Phony is that IGL, is that guy that we knew him to be after we interviewed him a couple episodes ago. How are you guys feeling about FaZe right now?
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Wyatt. I'll give you your props. That being said, I will say we were thinking about maybe making them a dark horse because like they weren't gonna be a favorite, right? But like they were kind of in that middle of the pack type of deal. So I'll give you that. But it wasn't like a crazy. I'll give you your props, but it's not like me saying
Listen,
NRG's
yeah.
not making it to Sunday type of deal.
That I don't know if anything will top that take. That one's just that's at, and you know what? I respect it too. I love that you were willing to go into those muddy waters and pick that take. But yeah, it wasn't like the craziest take. And now that you see them atop the standings, like let's say for instance last week we had like some angel from the future show us the standings from the first 2 days, and we saw FaZe at the top. I don't think any of us would be like, what? Oh my God. We'd be like, oh, well, that makes sense because they have, a legend in Snipe Down. They have Phony, who we've been saying is an underrated IGL, and then Frex to follow along with it. Like, we knew this team had the ability. It was just, we were expecting some of the other teams to do well. But I mean, Phony's starting to get his flowers. I think I saw even Nick Merckx talking about it a little bit, and just how he's able to put people in the right positions. But it's nice to see them get rewarded a little bit, albeit it's only their first 2 days, and some teams haven't played their second day yet. But you can't scoff at 18 points and 21 points in consecutive days.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think Frex, in his role of being a co-IGL, he's not a hard IGL, but he used to co-IGL on SSG, and so I think that gives that team some added like leadership as well. And then you could throw Snipe Down was also try to put his hat in the ring for being an IGL maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. It didn't work out because he realized like, wait, maybe this is a little bit harder than I thought. But so I think that there's a little bit of a respect factor. And I was talking to somebody about this. I really do like the difference between Phony and Albarelli in the way that Snipe responds to their calls is night and day. Like Phony, that he like Snipe actually, it feels like Snipe actually respects Phony's calls and like will listen to them. Which I don't think he was doing on that old phase roster. And then Frex is kind of that do it all guy. I mean, we always use the explanation or the example of reps. It's funny because whenever we have our interview with Gnaske, he says Serdell is actually what reps Serdell is what reps is trying to get to. So they're both like that. What is it? What is the special type of knife that is able to do it all? Whatever it's called. What is that called?
The Swiss Army knife.
That's it.
That's
it.
the
They're the Swiss like Frex is that Swiss Army knife, with a ton of experience. And so yeah, it's crazy that Phony technically has the least amount of experience on this team, and is like IGLing his heart out and finally getting his flowers, like you said, Wyatt. So yeah, I think we know now what this team is about, but can they stay consistent? And I mean, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, and that's going to be the most important part moving forward. Some other major storylines, if you look across the overall standings, I'll say the top 5 real quick. We got FaZe number 1, Meat Lovers number 2, Team Diverge, who we'll get to in a second, as number 3, Dark Zero number 4, and Xset number 5. Some other big names that are kind of surprising in their positioning. Team Tripods down low at 26. They had some tough goings in the second day, some disconnects, which were really unfortunate. Luminosity right above them at 24th. Furia down low as well, 22nd. 100 Thieves down low as well at 20th. And Lanimals, that's Naughty's team, at 19th. TSM right above them. So there's some major teams down below, and then some underrated teams, like we said, with Diverge. And then another one that's really standing out, only one day, already sitting at 6th place, Glitch Energy, which that's my guy, as someone who leaks, that's his team. So I love to see that. I love to see them up there. And BBB sitting at 8th, only one day. I mean, that was Enoch's pick. They're looking good. E, how are you feeling about your BBB pick right now?
I'm saying they're looking sturdy. They came out, they had a great day, even with dealing with all of the different problems and challenges that they faced with their contests, and then some untimely resets that took place. They're looking really strong. Like, this is a new team, and for a new team, like as new as they are, they're looking so good. And it's only gonna, like, as the season goes on, I think this is a team that's only going to continue to get better. And so they've been looking really good come game day. They've been looking really good in scrims. I'm excited to see what this team ends up doing. Yet they are only one day played and just a few points away from that top 5. I think like 7 away from being in that top. A little bit less than that. Just 3. Yeah, because with Glid. I'm so confused. Okay, yeah. 7 because it's 25 and 25 because Dark Zero and Xset are both tied. Both having one game played. Tied for that 4th and tied for that 4th spot.
Yeah, they both won. They like DZ and Xset both won their respective days, and then they get the most points at 25. But yeah, they've only played one day. But yeah, BB's not that far behind. Like, your pick is kind of looking pretty good right now.
I mean, I knew it would, and the season's just getting started. And so yeah, I think 2 things that we got to talk about is. Well, one, Team Diverge, absolutely performing way above where anybody would have had them. They were the last team to get in. It's kind of a newer comp team. You got you got Bird, GS Bird, an absolute legend. Put up one of the most memorable ALGS wins that anybody's ever seen, basically winning a whole ALGS in 2 games of dropping like incredible. 2 20-point bombs with the boys Sunny and Sung. Just the OG Caustic Giddy team just absolutely running it down. and just what a and to go from like where he was out there through like all the trials that he's gone through and all the different teams he's played on since then, not really being able to get back to that level of success. This is definitely looking like a team that we could see him reaching that level again. This team is looking really strong. So it's him, Aj Nasuda, and Sleepy Panda. Sleepy Panda is another long-time pro player, been on a bunch of different teams. And then Aj is this, I believe it's his first time playing in Pro League. You absolutely love to see it. He's just been a grinder from, I remember his Watson days where he was kill grinding to like now he's playing in Pro League and competing and putting up good games against some of the best players in the world. And it's super cool to see. And this is definitely a team that if you're new to Apex Legends and you don't have a team that you're already rooting for, Team Diverge could be the team for you, because it's just an absolute an underdog story and a team that everybody wants to see do well. And I'm pretty sure Diverge is owned by Juju Smith.
Juju Smith.
Which is dope. And so
Super
if
Bowl
you don't
champ.
have an Apex team that you're rooting for, BBB, solid option. Team Diverge, great option. Super excited to see how both these teams do. But yeah, I just thought with them coming out with an 11-point day and a 16-point day, performing way higher than what everybody expected, and they have so much room to develop as a team. This is far from their final form, as you can tell in their games that they weren't playing with like the most confidence, but they were getting into the right spots, making some of the right decisions. And the more time that they'll have in Pro League, the better that this team is going to get, and the more experience they have under their belt, especially in that boy Aj, they're just going to get better and better and better. And so this is just an immaculate start for them. And then lastly, I think DZ coming out with a really strong first day, walking away with a W and 25 points off of that. They hadn't had as much success as we would expect from that team. I'm not sure what exactly they placed in LAN, but it wasn't what
it wasn't first.
A lot of people, it
wasn't
first.
It wasn't the three-peat.
They did not get the three-peat. And so it's probably a little bit of warped expectation, be like, oh, they didn't win, so they haven't been performing as well. But yeah, we definitely hadn't seen them be as dominant as they have been. And this is just a fantastic way for them to start off their season.
Going back to Team Diverge real quick, I just want to read you off their placements from their first 2 days. Listen to this real quick. 2nd, 13th, not great, but whatever. 2nd, 13th, 4th, 5th, 4th, 6th. We go on to day 2, 2nd, 12th, 7th, 5th, 15th, 3rd. Dude, like the top 5, top 6s in that alone are insane. Like that's absolute, like for a team, the last team to get in. That's crazy
Literally.
placement. And all they have to do now is just put together a few more kills, and it's like their points are instantly shooting up. They're giving me kind of vibes of like Team Oxygen of last split, where it was like they're always kind of hovering around. And remember, they started off so hot as Atlanta Premier. They're giving me that same vibe where it's like if they can continue to do this, they could easily get themselves a spot into LAN and moving into the second split. So really awesome to see, and can't wait to see where they move going forward. A team that we have to talk about here is our current champion, and it's not just bad because they're sitting at tied for 16th in the league right now. It's also bad because they've already played 2 days. They got 2 points on the first day, 10 points on the second day. TSM is struggling. Finn, what do you think's going on right now, man?
Well, okay. What are we planning on getting on into the contest later on, or do we want to do that right now?
Let's. I kind of want to save it for day 2.
Yeah, we can save it. Let's save it.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess my thoughts on TSM is I think BBB is actually getting to them. I think specifically day 1, they get 18th place. And they're not even being contested at all at any of their POIs. They're not getting contested. And then they get 18th place. Like, what is... Whenever I went over and looked at their VOD, a lot of times they were getting... I'll give them like one game where I think they did definitely just get griefed. But a lot of their decision-makings from Hal, unfortunately, like, Hal's not the perfect, he's not the perfect IGL. Obviously, he's very successful and very good at his job. But even the best sometimes have off days. And it seems like he's like flustered. I don't know. We could get into more on day 2 of them being flustered, but Hal was like yelling, like very loud. And I remember seeing a clip of Hal saying what happened to you guys, talking to reps and talking to Verhulst, and was like, you guys just got absolutely rolled. And then you just hear Evan go, yeah, pretty much. And then the clip ends. So, I mean, I think it was just a team effort not doing well. I think a lot of their macro was probably not the best at the current moment. But yeah, rough start, but there's no way we don't expect this TSM squad to at least bounce back. So, but yeah, that's from my perspective, specifically day 1, with this TSM squad that kind of went wrong.
Do you want to add anything onto that, Enoch?
What, in terms of like just TSM?
Just TSM, whatever thoughts you have on them or whatever.
Yeah, obviously they were not looking too good, but it is very, very early on. I'm sure that this is going to be an experience that they're going to be able to learn from. Obviously, like, it sucks to go through it, but they'll always, like, the Pro League is far, far, far from over. Lots of time left, plenty of room for them to bounce back. And yeah, their standings are going to not look as good once everybody plays up to as many games as they have been able to. And so a little bit of a hole, but it could be just a little bit of a storyline too, and watching them bounce back. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they're going to do moving forward.
I think this is a perfect segue into going into day 1 and day 2, the different storylines that go along with it. So let's kick it off into day 1. We just talked TSM. Obviously, they get 18th. Another team that we're expecting to do well heading into this is the brand new Sentinels roster. And that was formerly the Guard, who was awesome in Split 1. They were really good. They get 19th on the first day. What did you guys see from your perspective on what's going on with the new Sentinels roster?
The changes to the Legends, man. Like, I think this team and Oxygen are going to take the most hit from the changes of the Legends, specifically with Crypto. A lot of, they were one of the few teams that were actually running Crypto early on, and they were finding a lot of success. But now with the Crypto changes, it seems like they're not as effective, because obviously with the changes to his skin, you're no longer getting just like ring knowledge. You're only getting where like team knowledge, which is like where players are, which is still good, but it's not nearly as good whenever you're trying to find that finite god spot, second best spot into zone. And so they do seem like they were off. It's one of those things with TSM, except I do feel like TSM has more firepower than this old Guard, new Sentinel squad. But yeah, they felt off. And if you go back and watch their VODs, it wasn't that they were necessarily making bad decisions. They were just losing their gunfights, except for one time where I saw Bo at the end of day 2 pop off. But I guess for day 1 specifically, they were just dying early on. Like, so that's got to come down to their macro / mid game rotations, and like either being pushed by teams and then losing that straight fight, or them just rotating and then getting caught on their rotates and put in bad spots and then therefore dying. So it's something that's easily correctable, and we know that with RKN, his knowledge of zones is up there with all the best. So I expect a rebound as well. But I do think that this team is going to be going to take longer to kind of find their groove compared to others due to the changes to Crypto.
Yeah, and that could be a legitimate concern for a lot of teams. That could be the reason why we're seeing some of the main teams kind of falter right now. That could also, it could be many factors, but I mean, there was a massive overhaul to all these legends and all the different passives and the things that are changing. Split 2 is looking drastically different than Split 1 because of the changes in season 16. So you have to take that into account with what's going on so far, but it's still very, very early. Another team that I kind of want to keep my eye on is Lanimals. That is Naughty, Albrelelli, and Lou. They looked incredible in scrims. They look so good. They come away with like 2 very mid performances. They get the 13th on day 1. What do you see with Lanimals?
I mean, if we're talking Lanimals, I feel like we have to specifically talk about Naughty, considering out of the 16 points of like kills, they have 16 kills, and Naughty has 14 of them. So I think this guy is different. I mean, he tweeted out before the split. He said, "I am about to move different. You better be watching out." And I think I saw him 1v3 Sentinels. I saw him 1v3 NRG. And I'm pretty sure there was another one. I can't remember the name. And this guy is, I mean, he really is. He's cracked. You should listen to his comms. They're hilarious. But this Lanimals team, and we get in with it. Like we get into this discussion actually with Gnaske. Another reason why you should stick around and listen to the interview. But he talks about how sometimes in scrims, teams are a lot less hesitant because they know that there's not much on the line. And therefore whenever they get to like ALGS games, they are a little bit more hesitant on their calls. And because of that, sometimes teams can feel out of their element. And so maybe that's what happened with the Lanimals. As Wyatt said, the scrims, they were looking good. I mean, this team looked insane, and they still are insane. It just felt like they were out of sync with their fights, specifically their micro. And I mean, I think the team's vibes are good. I think Lou's really a good foundation for them, but I saw them dying a lot on rotations and getting some zone calls wrong. And therefore, whenever they were trying to micro their way into final zone, were just dying, or they were just straight up losing fights, similar to the Sentinels situation. But that boy Naughty is different. I mean, look, they have a ton of KP. Look, like their day 1, they had 2 KP in the first game. In the second game, 4. Third game, they had none. Fourth, 5. Sixth, 1. And then their last game, they had 6 again. So, like, that's a lot of KP for a team that's not getting a high placement. Therefore, that's a lot of macro and decision making, once again, into their mid game, into late game, and not putting them in spots. So, you got to see maybe some improvement in that regard. But I don't know. Wyatt likes this team, and I do too. I think Enoch likes them too. Like, this team is like a fun team. Like, there's a lot of big personalities and a lot of experience, but it's just not. It just didn't showcase in the first day.
Yeah, Naughty absolutely was just going crazy. I don't think I've seen one man pull off as many 1v3s as that dude did. Like, and it wasn't even like he was killing like 1v3ing like teams where it would be like, oh, like he just 1v3 throw guys. Like, he shit on NRG, he shit on Sentinels. Like, those were like multiple fights where it was like at least like a 1v2 situation, and Naughty clutched it up, pulled it off. And so it was absolutely, you love to see it on his end. I think it's super exciting. And hopefully, like this again, Lanimals, it's a newer team. I think everybody would have expected them to perform better, especially considering how well they've been playing in scrims. But obviously, ALGS Day, it's a little bit different, a little bit more nerves, a little bit more on the line. And so I'm sure the more time that this team gets to play together, that they'll get better and better. And yeah, that boy Naughty, he is looking very, very good. And so you absolutely love to see it from his end.
Yeah, and you can carry some positives from just his play going into the next few days. The only thing really going against them is they've played 2 days versus 1. But we've seen teams that started off last split very slow, and they were able to work their way back in with just 1 or 2 big pop-off days. And this team has that potential in them to have those days. So Lanimals will be keeping a close eye. The only other few storylines I have, 100 Thieves, I feel like they're so underrated. and they were a champion back when they were Kungarna. That is such a hard word to say. When they were Kungarna, they have a championship under their belt. They have championship pedigree. They had a match, dude. I think it was round 4. Yeah, it was round 4. They got second in round 4 on Storm Point. They easily could have won the fight. One guy pushed up a little bit too much. I don't remember exactly who it was, but I know it wasn't Onmu. It was one of the other two, and it cost them the fight. You think they get the 3KP and win that? They're easily moving up from 10th place to hovering around 5th or 6th, and that's just a huge jump. That would have been like a big, massive jump for them moving forward. So there's just a little small things going on with the 100 Thieves that they could elevate themselves into the next level. They're also one of those teams, kind of like Oxygen, where they try to play zone more. They've been like, for a long time, they were running the Caustic Gibby Valk meta, and they were trying to like win it that way, and they did win that way. So we'll see how their adjustment to all of that is going to be. They're not running that comp anymore. So maybe that's kind of what they're toying with right now. But keep an eye on 100 Thieves. Anything else, boys, before we move on into day 2?
It looked like Drug Free about to go crazy, and then they had 43 points through 2 games, the first 2 games, and you think, okay, this team out of challengers about to go crazy, showcase their ability, and then they get 5 points in the rest of their games out of like 4. Which is unfortunately not a great spot. They still finished 4th place, so it's still good. We'll get into a little bit of drama with them later on, actually, that happened last night in the middle of the night.
So it's kind of good that we had to re-record this. Actually, in our first recording, we had Drug Free as our first storyline, just so everybody doesn't get mad at us when we neglected the back-to-back winners of the first 2 rounds. We did say that
We already talked
first.
about it. It's not our fault.
Yeah, it's not our fault. We already said it, and we thought in our brains it was like we already talked about it, but we just remembered right now that we had to bring it back up. They did win the first 2 games of day 1, which was very impressive. But there is some drama going on right now. It's very weird. It's like a weird going back to your ex situation, I guess, is how you could describe it. But yeah, Drug Free looked really solid.
Yeah, and then one of the teams, unfortunately for me, so NRG got 5th place. I don't really want to speak too much about that. They didn't have a pop off day, which is fine.
Not making it to Sunday.
Yeah, well, okay. Optic came in 6th place, which I think is noteworthy due to how poorly they've done recently, and now that they kind of popped off. I saw in scrims tonight they got 1st place by like 20 points, and so like this team is probably finding their groove now, which is a good sign for all of the Optic fans out there. Okay. MLS. This is the team I wanted to talk about. They were my dark horse pick, and they had a bad first two days, and it's tough because it feels like I haven't got to watch too much of their VOD, and I don't know what it is, but I want this team to win so badly. I think it's just because I love Luxford's comms, because I think he has the best comms in North America, or one of them. I don't know what it is, but he always makes his team better. So I hope that team is able to find, find their groove. But that's it for day 1 for me. I don't know. Do either of you boys have anything else for day 1?
Dude, something that I feel like we got to talk about is the fact that Drug Free, they go from an absolute just pop-off performance, absolutely just kill it on the World's Edge games, and then literally it was like the next day, Impulse tweets out that he's getting dropped. And then it doesn't end there. Then a few hours later, or a day later, or sometime later, not sure how much time it was, but he quote tweets it, saying that he's talked with the team, that they've gone over their differences, and that they're going to keep running it. And so what that could be what happened, but what more than likely happened was that the Saucer and Ashura, who were the 2 people on the team that were planning on dropping him, I think they made the decision to drop him and then realized that they actually can't, because he's the one who has the spot. because I believe it
Right.
was
So
like
him and Rack
him-
have this spot.
and
Rack is
Rack.
their sub.
Yeah.
Rack retired, but he's still part of the team to keep the Pro League
Yes,
spot.
to keep the Pro League spot. And so Ashura and Sauce wanted to drop Impulse, but then realized that they couldn't do it. And so now the vibes on that team
Chalked.
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 Bro, like it's just there's no way
there's
that
a
you
dark,
come
rainy
back
cloud.
from like there's no way that you come back and you're like, oh, we're boys. Like
Yeah. Yeah, it's honestly bad planning on their part, like not knowing that, hey, in a 2-2 split, the person that's the team captain gets the gets the overruling, and therefore Impulse was never going to be able to lose his spot. So it's kind of awkward, and it's tough because I think we wanted them to do really well. I think in our original recording. I think our first recording, we were like, yeah, we want them to like pop up now, like, and then now we're just like justice for Impulse, bro.
Yeah, I can't imagine in between games going into that Discord with that entire team. It's just got to like there's going to be just dead silence. You're going to be like nobody's talking to each other, nobody's saying anything. They're just in their own little world, which I just think does not bode well for the rest of the season. But who knows? Maybe it fuels them, makes them better. It wouldn't make me better. I'd feel awkward, but who knows? Yeah, Drug Free. Congrats on the day one. I want you guys to know, Drug Free, we really hyped you up yesterday on our recording that got lost. Like we hyped you up so hard.
Juice. If yesterday's pod was out, it would like, and that's the funny thing is that if we didn't have that issue, like all of that stuff happened after not all of it, but like the whole dropping and then to the not dropping situation all happened after it. And so now I'm glad that we got to talk about it because I think it's just such a tragic situation. I just think like, wow, like how do we not, if you're going to plan a coup, make sure that you can actually do it.
Yeah.
Like that is just poor coup planning. And that everybody got a lesson from that.
Yeah.
And so
next time they plan a coup, they're going to remember this situation. They're going to be better for it. Boys, let's move into day two. Actually, let me round out the day one with the results of day one. I never actually said that. Number one was Dark Zero. They won the day. Number two was Glitch Energy. Third was FaZe. Fourth was Drug Free, and fifth was NRG. Our winners of the matches back-to-back first and second games was Drug Free. Third was FaZe. Fourth was Dark Zero. Fifth was Team Glory. And last game of the day was also won by Dark Zero. Now, let's move into day two. Xset was incredible. They won by basically 20 points. They were first on day two. FaZe was number two. Third was BBB. Fourth was Team Diverge. And fifth was the Meat Lovers, our winners of the day. Xset won the first match. FaZe won the second match. BBB won the third match. And I would just like to point out, I don't think that's ever happened before where our winners went in order from like our top three went in order winning the matches. Xset was first. They won the first game. FaZe was second. They won the second game. BBB was third. They won the third game. Sixth, or sorry, not sixth.
It looks very aesthetically pleasing on Liquipedia.
It looks good.
Yeah,
it looks good on Liquipedia. The fourth match was won by SCS. The fifth match was won by Xset, once again their second win of the day, and Sentinels won the last match of the day. So boys, storylines from day two are a little different from storylines from day one because there was a shitload of contests and there was a lot of shit talking from the shitload of contests. And what's crazy is in a world where TSM is contesting with Team BBB, which is made up of quite possibly some of the best shit talkers in the league currently, we also had Nick Merckx and his contest with Team Complexity over at Cenote Cave, which somehow took a headline because Nick Merckx in his stream said fuck Luda, his old teammate, and that's kind of where we're at. So boys, I think we got to start off with the tripods one first. Basically Nick Merckx, they won the first contest, they won the first round. Nick goes down early, but they're able to clean it up. And in the they didn't like the game didn't go super well for them. They did decent. It wasn't anything to write home about. But they go back in the lobby and Nick says, "Fuck Luda. He's had like 14 teammates since we let him go, and he contests me everywhere I go. It's personal at this point. Fuck Luda." And I go, "Gosh damn, that's fucking crazy." So, they Complexity comes back and wins the second round of the contest because I'm blanking on the name. Gent disconnected from the game, so Complexity was able to win that second contest. A lot of people were upset at the tripods for taking so long to load into that game, but Gent was in an area where there was some weather stuff going down, and he wasn't able to compete. He was finally able to get back in the lobby. The second they got in, he disconnected once again. So I believe that contest is tied at this point. But how are we feeling about this tripods Complexity drama moving forward?
So I do have an update, and that is that I believe it is confirmed that Complexity is leaving the contest, and I believe they're taking their towns to Thunderwatch, and so not sure how much of an impact Nick's little fuck Luda rage moment. I actually ended up watching it back, and it wasn't like too much of a rage, but yeah, he was just like upset, obviously, and he wasn't thrilled with having to deal with it. And I wasn't even aware that Luda had been contesting them like that on all these different teams. But we'll see. Obviously, Complexity, they're going to be a team that it's a new team. They're going to be wanting to do their best, and you're just never going to be able to do your best from a contest position. Like, that's rarely going to be a position where you're going to be able to have successful games from. And I think it was clear that the pods, who are all signed as content creators, don't have the same pressure that Complexity does, as they're going to be. I know that obviously Monsoon is. I'm not sure if Cody and Luda are signed yet, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time. And so they just made the decision to leave, which I think is probably fairly smart, because they are a triple controller team, and controller up close in those contests is definitely going to be an advantage compared to being a double M&K team. And so hopefully Complexity will see more success in the future, and then hopefully pods will not have to spend nearly as much time in zone as they did this weekend. Because there was one game where those boys were just out there, 10 med kits deep, 10 med kits apiece. So I know that pods are excited. Hopefully Complexity is excited to no longer be in that context. And hopefully both teams will have more success as they move forward.
I hate C-Note Cave contest, bro. Like, I mean, could there be a worse POI to like try and contest? I mean, seriously. I mean, it's like you're either on top of the roof or you're down 30 feet and like you're shooting up at somebody, right? It's just like, it's not a fun contest. No one's having fun contesting. Even if you win, you're sad, right? So it's like,
and you're on that edge. Like, you are like, there was a northeast zone and the pods that had to rotate, and it was just so far. And it's just, it is not like, where you want to be. And because like those fights, like as like Finn said, like with how big the height advantage is, there's no quick C-Note contest. And so you're going to be in Storm. You're going to be in Storm for a while. And so there's really not, like, there's no winner of a C-Note contest. It really isn't.
I know. It's not even like, it's okay. It's like an okay POI. Like, it's not like the best POI ever.
And Finn brought this up in the first recording yesterday. I think we would all love to see like tripods and how good they could do if they weren't getting contested, because every single time they're just getting contested, and it would be like a pleasure to see how they could maneuver things if they didn't have to deal with one on every single map all the time. And so that's kind of where we're at right now with the tripods. The other storyline obviously being Team BBB and Team TSM contesting at Wall. This one was weird. This one was really weird because there's different points where each team kind of like backed off from the contest. Team BBB gets rolled in the first one, absolutely rolled. TSM all rushed onto Zach Mazer, shit on him. It went so fast, like he couldn't even think before he was dead. And then they finished it. You could see Hal get a little fired up, and this is why I think when we all talk about this, it's going to be like it's going to be a talking point because it seems like maybe there's too much emotional investment into this against those guys. They might be getting a little bit too deep into Hal's head, but nonetheless, they win that first round. And then after that, weird stuff started happening. One match, BBB just flies all the way to the double doors and then goes down to the eggs down below, the little egg-shaped buildings next to what do they call those things?
The
armories?
The IMC. Yeah, IMC armories, yeah.
So they go there for one round, and they had, like, BBB had a great day. They finished third. They did really well. And no matter what happened, they were just doing well. But so they go there, and then there was a few games later where TSM had to do that, and I don't know the context of it because I clicked in late. I think I was switching over from Nick's stream over into Hal's stream, but he's just screaming. He's like, fuck, like he's mad because they're having to fly deeper. I don't know if they just didn't get a good flight path or if they didn't feel confident enough with where Team BBB was landing, but it was a weird contest all the way through. And then Twitter drama ensued right after the day was over. And I think a lot of it came from the fact that TSM was, I think they were in a mid fight and then one of the games ended. And I want to say one of TSM's team members was knocked, and it looked like they weren't going to win.
I suppose. Yeah. Well, I just remember I wasn't watching this live, but yeah, there was a disconnect or the server like lagged or something, and the server like basically like reset itself, so it had to like it shut down the game, and Zach got pissed because he thinks that TSM's rigging the system. Supposedly, and like they were about to kill TSM or in Godspot to TSM and about to kill them or force them down or do whatever, and they were going to have 0 points for that game, and then they don't, like, instead it doesn't happen, and like the server shuts down. And to be fair, they would have had 0 points. TSM probably would have lost that fight. But that fight was getting contested. That fight was getting third partied by Lanimals anyway, so that was going to be a tough. And it didn't really matter. I think they just wanted TSM to just do so bad. That being said, the next game after the reset, TSM does have one of their better games and ends up getting 9 points from it. And so that was his biggest argument was instead of them getting 0 points, TSM is now getting 9 points, which, if you look at the standings, that would have placed them in like 15th place or 16th place. So like I think he just wants it so badly to mess with Hal, and I think it's messing both of them, like Zach and Hal. I think they just need a kiss. They just a kiss and make up.
Perfect. We need that on stream live. Yeah, it was definitely a weird contest. It was a weird situation because both of them were kind of backing off and giving the other team like respect on certain matches, and there was only really one true fight at the beginning, and then all the other times it was like an early rotate or one team like going somewhere else. But yeah, I think they both know how good the other team is across from them, and that's why they have to kind of move on and try different things, and it's kind of putting them both in a weird spot. And this was something I asked yesterday when we recorded. We talked with Zach Mazer about why TSM was trying to leave. Do you think that maybe the fact that they were trying to get away from Wall, but now they're stuck with it, Raven saw something where he was like, maybe with the new changes to the Legends and the weapon meta, that they were like, dude, we need to leave this POI, but now they're kind of locked into it? I don't know. Like, that could just be a conspiracy, but, you know.
No, that's great. I think that's a great point, Wyatt. I really do. I think it's just so, I don't know, this whole thing like could have just been avoided if they would have just stayed at Wall, right? Like if they would have just never said that they were leaving anything, and then all of this started, and now like they made their bed, they're having to live with it right now. So it's just the problem, and we laughed about it last night because it is funny, but like BBB's not really like, they're not really winning the contest. They're just like being very annoying. And I think that's what's annoying Hal is they're not just straight 3v3ing them every single game. Like they're just taking their loot and then running away, and it's throwing everything off. And that's just as effective, I think, at like as a straight up 3v3 contest, like fighting, right? Is just taking someone's loot and ruining their rotation. So I don't know. They're just being annoying, and I think that's their whole point. I think that's Zach's idea, maybe. But yeah, it's something to look forward to because oh my gosh, just look for your timeline after Pro League days. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and I've been trying to do my best to retweet it onto our Twitter account at the Apex the Pod to try to keep everybody in the loop. Obviously, we're not taking a side. I just want to retweet all of it so people can see it because it's just funny to watch. Like it's just it's just seeing the comebacks go back and forth is just it's funny. It's like watching a food fight in like a high school cafeteria. It's just awesome. Another storyline, XSET continues to be a beacon of just consistency. They just continue to just play well. They have one day under their belt, but they're still sitting so high up on the standings. They got 25 points. They're sitting tied for 4th right now with just one day. They're just so consistent. They're so good. They had 2 wins today, both 12 kill wins. Absolutely insane. I mean, XSET is just incredible.
Yeah, no, they're looking incredibly strong. I mean, it was only a matter of time with how talented Nocturnal is as an IGL, with how good their coaching is with Hotsick behind the scenes, and then Fun. Like, if you guys don't know that, I'm just about that man, Fun FPS. He makes it definitely look like he has an advantage playing on MK than than a controller. He's absolutely just one of the most talented mechanical players I've seen, and really is able to get the most out of those more MK legends. Like, I would say that like Sear's definitely an MK legend, and then Fuse is an insane legend and when you get Fun on him. And yeah, and then you got Sykes, who is, I would say, top 5 arguably controller player. Absolutely just insane. He's been showing up. He's been just getting better and better and better the more he's been playing comp. And so we're just going to see a more experienced Sykes playing with a more experienced team as a whole. And they're going to be a very dominant team for a very long time. And I think that over the next couple of years, we'll be seeing them as a consistent top 5 team. And it'll really just depend on how much they show up come game day.
Bro, this XSET team is the definition of pure like consistency. Like they don't have bad days. We were talking about this on the last recording. This team doesn't have bad days, and I think that I said it super well. I think a lot of that has to do with Nocturnal's IGLing, and then just the mechanical skill just kind of takes over from there. So I mean, this team is so fun. I mean, they're so fun to watch too. So they play a lot of good fundamental Apex Legends, specifically battle royales. Like obviously they have this way about getting into best spot, second best spot in zone, and even in their games where they don't even get that, they're able to finesse their way into getting a placement that they have no business getting. And that comes with experience, and that comes with just mechanical skill, as we've said. But my gosh, this team, if you want to watch fundamental battle royales, like how to play them, you watch Team XSET and you will learn something every single time. I learned stuff from XSET every single time. So yeah, congratulations to them. But yeah.
Yeah, so XSET is playing out of their minds right now. They're looking really, really good, extremely consistent. Any other storylines before we round this out and head into our interview?
Yeah, there's two teams. They're literally right next to each other, 14th, 15th. LG was one of my top 5 picks going into this, and they had 2 back-to-back stinker days, and that's like not very much like them. Mainly surprised to see that they're Storm Point was really bad, since they are that OG Bangalore team with Storm Point, and so like seeing them do poorly is very shocking, I guess is the word. So I really really want this team to like have a bounce back, and I think that they're poised for that. And then I also think Furia had a rough go, but we know from last split, split one, that Furia had a slow start. That was due to not Wyatt. That was due to Watson being banned. So they have to have one bad week, and then they can pop off. But um, those are my two, like a little bit of surprises. It's good to see Sentinels pop back up on day two and do well with two pop off games. So that's all I got for day two.
You have anything else, E, before we move on?
BBB looking real solid. Excited to see what they're going to be doing this season. Long season, as I said earlier, they're only going to get better. I think they're looking incredibly strong right now, and I think it's only going to get improved upon.
Yeah, they had one game where they easily could have won, and they just got mixed up in their calls. I think it was definitely Storm Point. I don't remember if it was game 5 or 6, but they had like perfect positioning. They had everything at their disposal, and they just made like too early of a push. And I think they ran into new Sentinels, and they weren't able to bounce back. But their positioning up to that point was perfect. Their fights up to that point, we already knew this team could fight. It's just really making sure their calls get through clearly, and they're paying attention. And other than that, I mean, this team's going to be very difficult to stop. So Team BBB, keep a lookout on them. Ladies and gents, that should just about round it out for our first day 1 and day 2 preview. We can't wait to send it on down to this interview with Gnaske. We're going to hit a quick ad, and on the other side, our man Gnaske.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we don't have Wyatt in this time, so I am introducing for the second time only in my career, but it is an honor to have the boy Gnaske in for an interview. He is a part of KCP and has been a part of a long history of being a part of ALGS, specifically in EU, and having just like the personality of an absolute rock star and an IGL brain the size two times the size of Tech. So I would say it is a great day to have you on. And how are you doing, Gnaske?
I'm doing good. I've been a little ill, under the weather recently, but I'm doing good now.
Okay, good. Well, we are excited to have you on. You said that you just got done with scrims. We talked a little bit about it, but how do you feel about the scrims right now?
Scrims right now, at least the last 2 weeks, have been absolutely garbage. We had a little small period before like 3 weeks ago or something like that, where it was decent quality, and before that it was really good. But now it's back to just horrible quality. And it actually made me. I thought a little bit more why it was bad quality. You know how people say, people in scrims to play edge, and then in tournaments to play zone. They don't take these fights in real tournaments and stuff like that. And I heard on Sweet stream yesterday that he was saying that how TSM as a whole has been hesitant, and that's why they aren't performing. And I think that's why scrims are bad quality, because people are less hesitant, they're more confident, and then when in tournament they get hesitant and they actually play worse. And I think scrims is when you actually see those teams actually do play good. So, which sounds counterintuitive, right? Scrims are garbage, so people are playing bad is what people think. But maybe it's because people are actually showing their true colors and actually playing like how they're supposed to. Yeah, maybe.
That's actually a really interesting point. Do you think? I think that has a lot to do with LAN, and I was going to ask you later on about LAN, but I think that has a lot to do with it as well, because a lot of times, I mean, if you think back to Worlds for 2021 in July, whenever like Furia was just playing Edge and full sending everybody, like, and realistically, they were doing that in scrims and doing that like in ranked and doing it like just practicing, but everybody was kind of playing super timid and they kind of caught him off guard, it felt like. So that's like what my thought goes to Furia in that example. But yeah, I think you're exactly right, actually. So let's do the first question. The first time I remember hearing of your name, you were playing out of East Frag, and you were the crypto main, the main person that I knew who was using crypto in EU. And I just remember you get like maybe a gun or two guns, and then maybe a tiny bit of heals, and then just start rotating and using crypto and just like getting to center of zone. So I just remember you being that OG crypto player, and kind of bring it to the forefront specifically in EU, because at the time that was really the only region that was running crypto. So I would love for you to talk about old times and kind of how crypto used to be, and now obviously he's a little bit changed and probably not nearly as strong. But I would love to hear maybe just old school team comps and maybe being, I'm going to call you the godfather of the crypto.
It's actually funny that I got the name for crypto, because in reality I was the last person in Europe to actually swap over to crypto. Because Shira had been playing crypto for 6 months before I even tried it for the first time. And I was also, I think I was the first one to switch off crypto, at least for Stormpoint, and then shortly after on World's Edge, I guess I was a little late, but I was way earlier than some of the other crypto mains at switching away from crypto. So my time on crypto is actually very very short compared to some of the actual OGs of crypto. So it's funny that I got the name for crypto, but I think it was just at the time, it was the timing of like when my name got more and more popular, and then that's like, people tuned in for crypto. But prior to that, I was playing Watson for the longest time. I even played in NA for the original ALGS OT1 with PvP and Geesh. And I was playing Watson. So I'm not a crypto guy. I want the crypto name out. But yeah, I mean, original days. If you want to go way back originally, it was Pathfinder Watson. And funny enough, I was actually the latest to switch away from that, then to crypto. I had faith in the Path and the Watson. I didn't have faith in the crypto, but yeah. And we had to swap to crypto. We weren't performing with Path and Watson after all the nerfs.
What are your feelings about Fen just talking mad shit on your name, saying that you guys weren't going to be a top 5 team in EU this next split?
Oh yeah, I mean, we I heard that. I heard that from when we played Ranked Enoch recently. I don't know if you've seen the recent clip that surfaced on Reddit, and Hal showed it on stream and stuff like that. I'm going all in on this pro league. I put my ass up for grabs if we didn't get first place. So that's what I said in the clip. It went like semi. It got shared around quite a lot in the community. We are gonna get first, Finicky. We are going to get first. I'm feeling really really confident. The team synergy, as we will only play with Sane for officially 2 weeks, but the team synergy is there. Our first tournament together, we got first. Our first ALGS together, we got second. Everything is lining up. I'm motivated since LAN. Losing this LAN was probably the best thing that could have happened for me, unironically, and surprisingly enough, maybe. But yeah, I've been putting in the time. I'm mechanically at my peak right now. Rotations, macro, everything is on point. My teammates are playing phenomenally. We are gonna get first place. We actually are gonna get first place. Getting anything outside of anything, maybe even outside of top 3 would be a disappointment. We are definitely not getting outside of top 5, Finicky.
Okay, dude. So Enoch loves to bring this up, but realistically, I didn't. It all stemmed from Fallout talking about whenever you guys were practicing for LAN and you were going against TSM for wall, right? Whenever you were doing the contest. And so it all stemmed back to whenever he was like, I feel like they've made it down, they haven't done as well, even with Panders in as a substitute role. And I was like, you know what? Maybe that's true. I don't really know. Like, I have been keeping up with it. You guys got 9th or 10th place, I think, in the EU split last year. or last
Yeah,
split.
we finished the last 2 games pretty weak. We ended up being 7th place after
Okay.
hovering second and third for the majority of it, which was kind of disappointing.
I don't want you to think that I'm just like a hater or anything. Like, I want to see y'all succeed. You guys obviously have the best vibes, I think, in all of Apex. I was gonna say in all regions. I think you guys have the best vibes when it comes to the communication and personality. So this is me. Like, it was more of a challenge, not necessarily a roast.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, well, our vibes are definitely way more goofy now with Sane being a new addition to the team. Um, some would say cringe, maybe. I think so too, but at least the vibes are good and we're happy, so that's what matters.
So how big of a pickup in your eyes is you guys getting Zane?
Well, we wanted to keep Max. With just full transparency, Sane knows this too. Max is a phenomenal player, but due to the war in Ukraine, he's missed 4 lands in 2022 alone, and yeah, he's realistically not going to be able to make any other lands for the foreseeable future. That's why we just had to pick up a new third. We had to talk with Max. Max said it was a tough conversation we had with Max, but TLDR, Max did say, I agree with your decision. I think it's smart for you guys to do this. Obviously, it sucked, but so picking up Sane was more we had to, and not so much let's get rid of Max. This guy's way better. But that's not to take credit away from Sane. I do think Sane is literally the best pickup we could have gotten. I think the only people that rival Sane is maybe Verhulst. Yeah, I'd say Verhulst is probably the only one. Sane is phenomenal. He's absolutely insane. Not to mention the vibes fit. Like, it's a good mesh, personality wise.
That's what I was gonna ask you. You recently said that Evan Verhulst is the best player in the world. Do you still agree with that statement?
Well, when I said it, I'm trying to like take skill aside, because obviously, in my unbiased opinion, I think Sardell and Sane are the best. But professionally,
Wait, did you say
I think
in your unbiased opinion?
I said unbiased opinion. Yes, you heard me right.
Ain't no way.
But professionally, Verhulst is by far, like, way ahead of everyone else professionally. On my tweet, I listed a bunch of criteria, and he just check marks everything. So like, even though Sane is good, for instance, he doesn't want to wake up at a certain time to grind. He'll just rather just sleep in. He'll still put in the hours, don't get me wrong, but he'll it's just like we'll figure it out. Verhulst, always on time, doing his job, everything. Yeah, but Verhulst is by far the most professional, and by those metrics, he's the best in the world.
That's some gas, dude. That's actually gas.
So did you tweet that before or after his tweet where he basically listed out all of the different things that he did and then like equals cracked? Was yours
After.
before?
Yeah,
Okay,
I read that and I was like, okay, yeah, hell yeah, dude.
You definitely inspired that one. I'm surprised he didn't tag you in it, to be honest.
No, sorry. I meant I tweeted it after. When I read it, I
yours
tweeted
was
it.
after.
Yeah. My bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair, because definitely from when you like look at that aspect of it, especially when you look at Apex as a whole, I would say that people look at the way that comp Apex players approach it, and it's just like, at least from my opinion, as someone who's like been like high level sports player, like the work ethic that comp Apex players have is just absolutely pathetic across the board. And Evan is certainly an exception to that rule for all of the reasons that you listed, for sure.
100%. The work, it's. I spoke with Mandy about this earlier today when we were playing ranked. Apex is not like other esports. You don't have any pro players in Apex. You have content creators that play ALGS. That's what it is. And by that, I mean, people slack on the work ethic, and not to mention that if you don't have a stream, you aren't going to succeed no matter how good you are as a player.
Yeah, that's what I think. And unfortunately, where we're at with Apex in the environment of esports right now, I think, yeah, we're not like League of Legends where people are getting millions for their salary right now. And then all they do is just play their league matches, right? And so yeah, we're not quite there yet. Obviously, content's pretty heavily based. Let's go back to what you were saying with your teammates. Obviously, Dell. I want to talk about Sir Dell a little bit. He seems to be, if you go to your Liquipedia page and you just like look at all of your teammates, it's always Sir Dell's always with you. So can you talk about your relationship with him and maybe speak to having him as kind of, I would say, probably your duo?
Well, Sir Dell is the most consistent player. I'm listen. Unbiased. He is the most consistent player when it comes to ALGS tournaments. He can throw here or there in scrims or some small, pizza money tournaments or something like that. Which is, who cares? At ALGS, he never has bad days. Every time whenever we play with a new third and there's like a gap that needs to be filled, he always stepped up. He can change his play style. He can play any character. He's what Rep strides to be. He is phenomenal. That's why we've been playing together.
Is he still on MK or has he made the swap to roller?
He's on MK. He's an MK.
Okay.
Yeah. And he will still 1v1 any mouse and controller player. Just as of recently, today, he 1v1 effect in scrims. So to win the fight against Alliance. So yeah, no, he's great. He's great.
You should ask Dell about when we ran into each other in the 1v1 tournament.
Oh yeah?
Many ages ago.
What happened?
Oh, waxed him.
Yeah?
Put him down. And it was super funny because like I didn't know anything about I'm glad I went into it like not really because like at that point I didn't really pay attention to like comp too crazy much. And I was just rank grinding and doing that thing. And so I saw I was like, Sir Dell Twitch, like, who is that? I'm gonna stain this kid, like this is just gonna be free. And so I walked into the range with like the most peak confidence I've had, and I absolutely was like popping off that day. But yeah, so like we fought, and then I ended up beating him. I also ended up beating Panders later on that day, and then barely won against VJ before I lost to Spirit, somebody from EU controller guy who I don't think plays anymore. But yeah, I had no idea. And then like I later found out people were like, yeah, that guy's like one of the best comp players in EU. I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to put some. I don't think there's with the exception of Hardeki in the early days, I don't think there's a single mouse and keyboard player that will beat any any good controller player. I just, no matter how good you are in mouse and key, I don't think like in the range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's almost impossible because like the way that it was set up, it was like Wingman 9 on the little heady, and like that's literally just like a roller zone. Like you're never outside of the range.
If there's a shotgun, maybe, but yeah, no. R9 Wing is a controller heaven.
Yeah, now that I think about it, those tournaments were definitely so controller heavy. I remember we had it on one side, like Dolphin had it. The first one I think was just like the horizontal long ways, and then eventually we had it on the side, and then that was even more roller like starts. Oh man, I'm sure they'll. I hope G Dolphin makes another one, and I think that it would go really well. But I think maybe could do a input restriction on those tournaments and maybe make it only roller or make it only MNK. I think they were really fun.
I remember there's like a conspiracy going on that Dolphin intentionally put on the entire tourney just to like try to like rile up and show how strong roller was. Because on that day, oh my gosh, the TL was up in flames.
Oh, I remember that. That was probably the biggest Nerf controller debate that ever happened on Twitter.
Yeah,
one of the many.
Yeah, one of the many.
Now we have them like every 2 weeks, so don't worry about it. So I would love to ask you about Raven whenever he was your analyst / coach. Did you know that he was going to maybe become like this household name as a coach / analyst for TSM, or like and going along with that question is, do you feel like you have anything? Did you learn anything like that you still know today that you've kind of taken from any of his information?
Well, so back in before the summer in 2020, he was in my chat, and he DM'd me one time on Discord saying he has this method to read zone twos without having the beacon, and then that's how we started in contacted each other, and that's how he started being our analyst. He had he didn't even have a Twitter account when we started working together, and then shortly after we won the ALGS summer circuit, Energy stole him from us, and then he ended up leaving Energy. He joined some teams, blah blah blah, and then finally after he left Guild, we were finally able to pick him up again, and we had been talking since every day basically, and then he was our coach for 1 month for champs, and he was the one that made us place Sear Watson for Raleigh, which worked out perfectly for us. We ended up 5th place. Everything was really good, and shortly after, TSM stole him from us. So one day I'll get him back. Yeah, no, having Raven as a coach was great. He reads the meta like no one else, and yeah, he's a great guy too.
So what would you say specifically about Raven makes him so effective at what he does? And side question after you answer that one, what do you think are the qualities that make up a good Apex Legends coach? And what all do they do to provide the team?
I don't know how Raven is so good at what he does. He just is. I mean, he puts in the time, right? He works hard, which I guess is the key factor. But yeah, I don't know. He's got a thing for it, I think. And then secondly, what makes a good coach? There's a lot of defining factors. Funny enough, so there's 3 Reddit coaches that started off like with nothing, who now are all 3 are in tier 1 orgs, which is Raven, Sea Lion, and Nick for FaZe now. All 3 started with me before they even had Twitter accounts. I found Sea Lion on Reddit because he made like a long post about machine learning AI and stuff like that. So I just had to talk with him, and this guy knew what he was talking about. And Nick, I got recommended from Raven. And what makes a good coach is what the most important thing in a coach, I think, is having someone you can go back and forth with, ping pong ideas off of, and stuff like that. So the key factor is basically just someone with a lot of game knowledge, I think. Someone that fundamentally understands the game, which sounds simple enough, but there's so much depth to the game. Like I promise you, most of the even people like the bottom teams in pro leagues around the world, they don't even fundamentally understand the game to the fullest. So in a coach, someone that actually understands the game to the fullest, all like the complete fundamentals, it's basically just it. All the other stuff comes secondly, like working hard, good at reading the meta. All of that is second, because I think a good coach is just someone you can spitball ideas off of. Someone that will DM you late at night, 2 a.m., say, hey, I got this wild idea. All right, let's try it for scrims tomorrow. Which is basically what happened with Raven. We would spend all night, like we'd be in Discord calls 5 hours a day, just talking, discussing. It would be talking like nonsense, and sometimes, and that's basically just it. Someone that understands the game, and someone you can talk with about the game.
Okay. I would love to. We normally ask this, and I would love to hear your origin story on how you got started in esports, maybe video games, all the way back to maybe whenever you were a kid, and just so our listeners can hear about your story, and all the way. It doesn't have to be super detailed; it can be as detailed as you want it to be. But yeah, I just want everybody to hear about your story.
Well, it started off when I was 10 years old originally. My cousin had Left 4 Dead, not Left 4 Dead 2, but Left 4 Dead the original on his PC, and I tried it. It was wicked. I didn't have a PC. I ended up wishing for a PC. I got like this shitty laptop, and that's basically how it started. For Apex specifically, I was originally a Counter-Strike player, and then I played Ark Survival Evolved for like 3 months or something. Our base
Hold on,
game,
is that the dinosaur game, right?
the dinosaur game. Yes, yes.
It's like Minecraft and
crazy.
dinosaurs mixed up, right? Like,
Yeah, but it's sick. It's a sick game. The server we played on, I was in like a massive tribe and everything. It was sick. The server we played on ended up like it crashed or something overnight, and this fucking German nerd or something like that, he was up all night on a school night, and he was just raiding our base while the server was crashed, and we lost everything. And then at the same time, Apex was out, and then my friend was like, "Hey, you want to try it?" Sure, tried it, didn't like it. Gave it a week, tried it again, liked it, started streaming, and then we ended up beating the world record in kills very shortly after that. And that's what, like, I was like, oh shit, this is pretty cool. And yeah, that's basically how it started. It was just kind of random, basically.
so early on, how did you find your teammates?
Oh, that was horrible. I played with a team. We were ass wipe. That was 2019, before the summer. Poland comes around. We don't get an invitational because no one knows us. Taxi 2G and Vic, please. They're third. Didn't want to play LAN when they got invited.
Oh my
Vic, please
gosh,
got me
Vic.
because I was in his chat.
I forgot Vic. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I forgot
yeah.
Vic. He's like an
He's
OG
an
OG.
Yep.
Oh my gosh,
Yep,
yo.
yep.
He doesn't play the game anymore, but I remember him playing at the beginning of 2019. Okay, sorry to cut you off, but that just like brought back a memory so far back. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I was in his chat. I asked him one time to play ranked, and then nothing happened. Like a month later, he just like DM me, "Hey, are you good, by the way?" or something like that. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty good and play scrims. You want to come to Poland?" Yeah, okay, sick. Yeah. And then we went to Poland. We got an amazing 63rd finish. And then I went back to our team back then. After that, we kicked one. The other one quit comp because personal stuff. And then I was a free agent. I just dropped out of school. I was not good at the game. People knew I was not good at the game. I ended up playing with 150 people, different people, ballpark, like straight, like I'm not over exaggerating. It's ballpark, 150 different people. Getting trialing people. Ended up playing with Baker and Otter. Drama happens. We leave each other. I leave them, and it was not pretty. I didn't have a team for the upcoming OT1, the first ALGS ever. And I was panicking. I dropped out of school. I was living with my grandpa at the time because I could full focus, playing 12 hours a day, 7 months straight, no days off. Ended up playing with PvP, some ranked games. I was not good. He knew that, I'm sure. Their third, him and Geese couldn't play. And I was like, hey, I can relocate. I can come. I'll come. I'll play. And then we end up playing. I fly to Orlando, stayed with PvP for 5 days. We played the OT. We qualified for the Austin LAN. Everything was great. Austin LAN gets canceled. COVID hits. Everything is horrible. I can't continue playing in NA because, it's not feasible. And then the first team I trialed after that was Max Strafe and Sardell. And that's how the dynasty began. That's my story. That's Apex for me.
So 150 plus different people that you went through before you were able to find.
I'm not even over
At
exaggerating.
any point, was there ever? Because for a lot of people, they at some point around anywhere between 50 to 100, they're probably going to have the idea of maybe this isn't supposed to work out. Do I really have what it takes? Obviously, things aren't going the way that I think they are. But what about just the way that you approached the game and the mindset you had towards it allowed you to go through all of those different trials? But did you just know that you were always going to end up here, or what was the mindset behind that?
It's a little dark. I'm not gonna lie. I had some mental stuff. So I was so tired of school. And I had to lie to my parents a little bit about being better than I actually was, so that they could actually support me. So I dropped out of school, played Apex. I was like, I need to make this work. If it doesn't work, then I don't want to get into dark stuff, but basically I was just committed. I had nothing else to do. So I just stuck around. With hindsight, would I let my kid do any of the things I did? Hell no. My kids are staying in school. I'm not fucking playing Apex professional or not even semi-pro back then. But yeah, I don't know. I just stuck around. I just grinded through it. Like I said, I moved to my grandpa so I could full focus. I stopped my social life completely just so I can fully grind. 7 months of my life, every single day, NA EU scrims, 12 hours a day, VOD review. And that improved me. Like I improved tenfold because of that. It was a super unhealthy grind, super bad for my mental. I would not recommend it to anyone, but that's how I got good. I powered through it. Perhaps a little bit of luck, and then that's it.
All right. So one thing that you just mentioned was that you had like an unhealthy grind, and so I feel like everybody, once they get to the point where there's like have like a certain level of success, they're like, oh yeah, like you guys shouldn't do what I did. Like that's not gonna, like, it's just not worth it. But everybody always ends up saying that after they've done it. And like I have like a very similar, like I was like a year and a half of like 12 to 16 hours a day streams, like every single, like 6 days a week, all the time, full throttle, like social life gone, don't need it, gotta focus, it's building season. And so do you think that it is worth the like to have like that almost like crazy obsession level of drive and persistence and work ethic towards what you're chasing after and wanting to be successful? You think to a certain level it's worth it, or would you still say that no, but like if you want to go about your goals, you should go about it in a way that's healthy all around?
I might have, I don't know if it's a unpopular opinion or maybe even a hot take, but I think I don't know if it's like a genetics or something like that, but I think there's something within everyone, they have like a certain limit in terms of skills, so like they can like reach, or a certain height where it just caps out. You can't get better than that. And I think that in every single aspect of life. I don't know if this is like a completely brain dead take, but I think you will only know what limit you have once you actually give it a try. So, because I'm saying this because I know so many people in Apex who now have quit, and some are still like staying around, but that just like they put in the work, put in the dedication, they just never got like good. Like I'm not trying to sound like an egotistical asshole, but they never actually like got to that level. They never got to that level
that next level. Like they were good, but they weren't great. Like they didn't get up.
Yeah.
They couldn't go up one more
But
level.
the problem is you never know what your potential is if you don't actually give it a go.
So you inherently think that people have like a hard cap of like how good they can be?
Because
maybe not a
hard cap, but some people need to work harder, and some people have it easier. Maybe something like that.
I'd agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that.
But to a certain extent, it gets to the point where you need to work so hard to the point where it's not worth it, if that makes sense. Like let's say some gifted guy works 2 hours a day. He becomes the best in the world. Whereas someone that's not gifted has to work 15 hours a day just to reach that. And I think if you are that guy that needs to work 15 hours to reach that, it's not healthy. It's not good. And you should probably pursue a different profession, unless you like can sustain from it. Obviously get food on the table, and at the same time happiness. Right? I think everything in life, it revolves around happiness. How when you're younger you would say like it's money or whatever, but everything in from my point of view is that if you're happy, doesn't matter what you do. If you collect garbage off the street, if you're happy, that's what matters. And then of course if you can actually eat food and survive. So yeah, if you have an unhealthy grind but you actually genuinely are happy about it, I think it's fine. I think the problem is that it's so hard to actually grind and be happy at the same time. And I was definitely not happy during my grind. So yeah, I don't, like I said, you need a grind to find out what your potential is, in my opinion. But I don't know. I don't know. I just don't support an unhealthy grind. Let me say that much.
That's fair. All right, so you said earlier that right now you're feeling like you're at your peak mechanically. What have you been doing and focusing on that's allowed you to get to that point that you haven't been able to hit before?
All right, I'm gonna say something, and people are probably gonna be shocked. I started playing more, and that's it. I started playing more. My mechanics are better now. That's it.
And so what does that look like playing more compared to what?
Well, I don't actually put more hours in the game.
Mhm.
I actually maybe even put less now. Before I would spend most of my time VOD reviewing, cooking up strats in paint. It sounds stupid, but that's how it is. Working out macros, studying my enemies, figuring out a game plan of new stuff to try for the day after in scrims. And instead, I just focus some of my time more on playing ranked. And I think it's all relative, right? Skill is all relative. So I think relatively, my macro and my IG, maybe not my IGL, my macro was way stronger back in the days because of all the VOD reviewing. But now my mechanics are way higher because I play more. And I think at least it's a healthy trade-off for me now. The way I'm doing it, I'm obviously still studying rotations and stuff, but playing more ranked, basically.
You got one.
So yeah. All right, so you recently just won Realm Pro League preseason finals. I wanted to talk to you about it because it is a little bit of a different type of tournament. I believe it was like a snake draft type of team format. Can you speak on that? Because I know a lot of people may not know about it, but I thought it was a pretty unique tournament, and it just recently happened. I would love to hear your experience.
Well, for the people that don't know what Realm is, it's basically ranked solo queue. But your teammates are going to be semi-pros or pro players. There's money incentive, and it's all in a custom lobby. It's not actually in a ranked. And then you get ELO. It's basically like Face It if you played CSGO. It's just ELO rank system with money incentive. And then at the end of every season, they have 60 people with the top 60 people in ELO and points wise. They get to play a tournament, and whoever places first, they get to be a captain. The top 20 get to be captain picks. And then it's all order based. So the first place guy, he picks his teammate first, and so on. And it's all snake draft. And I got picked by Effect, who was the third place captain, and he picked as the third last pick. He picked a guy named Jerks, and so I was playing with two guys that I've never played with before, and we won the tournament, and yeah. It was we won by quite a lot. Like I think we almost had double the points of second place. We won by quite a lot, and it was a really fun tournament to play in. But yeah, that's how it worked.
Perfect. Okay, so I was looking up some. You're from Denmark, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yep. I was looking up some fun Denmark facts before we got in on the interview, and so I wanted to go over a few of them. One. It is evidently the happiest country in the world. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. I think actually we lost the ranking to Finland now.
Oh, well, it's close second. Yep. I still think the second best place in the world is still pretty cool. Okay, the Danish language does not have the word please. Like there's not a word please in Danish.
Well, we have an equivalent, but we don't actually have a direct translation now.
That is insane. That's so cool. You guys have the oldest flag in the world, which is kind of low key like a flex. You guys, the Danish alphabet also has 3 additional letters.
Yep.
And what it looks like an A and an E smashed together.
Yep.
What is that? Eh.
Yeah, it's basically E and a H. That's the pronunciation.
Interesting. And then a circle with it looks like a cancel sign or something, like a circle and then a line through it.
Yeah, that is
And
that's how I want to pronounce.
And then there's an A with literally a dot on top of the A.
That's an O.
So those sound. Is that like those sound so similar? But okay. And then the last one. You guys have like 2 of the oldest theme parks in the world.
We do.
Yeah, I don't know if you had been to any theme parks or if you're a roller coaster
Well, I've been.
person.
We got Legoland. But I think I don't know.
Oh,
And we
okay.
got a couple other ones. Yeah.
Yeah, the person that made Legos is Danish, so
Yep.
that's another thing too. So that was pretty tight.
Yeah,
Okay,
Lego
so
actually translates to Legot with the LE and the GO. Lego is Legot, which means play good.
what, dude? This
Yeah.
is the stuff. This is the stuff people aren't gonna get anywhere else. All right, this is the good stuff. So I'm gonna do a new segment. I guess this will be the third time, so I guess it's technically not a new segment. We're calling it Double Tap. And what I'm going to do is just tell you a statement, and then you say one word to describe that statement.
Okay.
Okay. So, you ready? Number 1, Kings Canyon.
Potential.
Number 2, Apex Comp Reddit.
Entertaining.
Number 3, EMEA ALGS region.
Pathetic.
Number 4, Surdell.
Insane.
And number 5, KCP Split 2 Pro League.
Best.
That's perfect. Those
Solid
great
answers.
Yeah, those were great answers.
All right, so let's hear what so KC.
KC. Yep.
Mm-hmm. You want to explain yourself?
I think I'm the only pro player that likes KC. There's obviously some flaws, and when I say I'm not talking ranked. It's absolutely horrible for ranked. But for competitive, if they just fixed the middle of the map and added a few more PYs, it would be the best map in the game. I love KC. Historically, we were the highest average points per game scoring team on that map in the world. And that was back when EU was the strongest region. So I love it. I'm hella biased, but I love it. And then, it has potential. Just a little minor fixes, and it's great.
Yeah, we got to fix
Interesting
that
take.
right underneath the cage area. Like cage to market's got to be different. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
And maybe up the loot a little bit. Like I
Oh,
really
up the loot. Yes.
Yeah, I think where the new POIs are actually really
The top
really
part of the
good.
map so juiced.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's so unbalanced.
Yeah. But yeah, I gotta agree. You and Zira Tricky are the only people that think KCP is awesome. So it's so funny that you two are both.
I'm not. It's not awesome as it stands. it has potential. Minor fixes. Also, bring back Slum Lakes. I don't know what they're doing with the new shitty place. It's horrible. Slum Lake was the best POI in the, not loot wise, but end
trolling, right?
End zone wise, Slum Lakes was the best spot ever. It was sick. You had all the heal-offs endings. You had the sickest fights. Oh, I loved it.
Okay, I got one final question from my end, and then E, you can go if you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my last one is you have had a lot of lane experience, and I'm sure it attributes to a lot of your IGL style, maybe, and you've just learned quite a bit from just playing on lane because of how different it is comparatively to online. But can you give our listeners kind of the biggest points that you think are, if we're compared to online to LAN? And would you say that having there's nothing like having LAN experience?
I don't. The difference between online. I mean, there's more on the line, so people try hard a little bit more. You see more trolling going on in smaller tourneys. But if it's a massive regional ALGS tournament or something like that, the quality is the same. The lobby plays out the same. There's not much difference, I feel like. I mean, apart from the obvious, which is having live audience, which is sick. And if anything, for me personally, it's a buff. I play way better when you hear the audience chanting the names and stuff like that. It's sick. I love it. But in terms of gameplay, it's kind of the same. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of the same. You'd say normally people would say that people play timid and stuff like that. They play the same in regional tourneys. Yeah.
I guess to add on to that is, could you talk about whenever you guys got 5th place with Rambo, how it was having Bo on the team and just what he brings dynamic whenever you're playing with Serdell and Bo, and just like
It's
the
great.
hype.
Well, me outside of the game, me and Bo are like homies. He's my best friend in Apex, so the vibes playing with Bo is always fun because we're all friends. So, we goof around, we talk about some dumb stuff. Our comms in during the games were like, "Oh, Del, I think there's some groupies out there for you," and stuff like it's like the dumbest stuff, right? So the vibes were phenomenal. We had a blast. Um, and in terms of gameplay, like teamwork wise, he fit the role perfectly. I really wanted to play with Rambo, and funny enough, me and Swinny, who's also my friend outside the game, and we are like a trio of friends. We agreed. We made an unofficial handshake this past LAN that one day when we all retire, we're gonna make a meme squad and we're gonna roll ALGS. And that will happen at one point. Us three will play together. We're gonna be called the Moncherish Squad, and we'll farm.
Yeah, I was really excited to get to see that because like I had been like following Bo for a little bit, and I definitely knew that you guys were like good friends, and it was like a team up that typically you wouldn't like expect to ever to be able to see because like he's playing in A, you're playing in EU, but then that opportunity presented itself, and then you guys made the absolute most of it, and were one of the best teams to watch for that tournament.
It was fun. It was really fun. And Rambo was our emergency sub to our sub, who was Matey, who was subbing for Max. So he was the third link, and the day before he was drinking and he got pretty drunk. So when he showed up, he was hungover.
Okay, so you are one of the probably like longest playing pros. Like you've been through a lot of the scene. You've gotten to see the game develop and change over time. What would you say has been your favorite meta to play in, and what would you say has been your least favorite meta to play in?
Favorite no-brainer. Watson Wraith Path. And then a little bit with Path gave you Wraith. But Wraith and Path, mwah, so good. The worst meta, if not the Seer Horizon meta, then probably the Crypto Caustic meta. That was the closest time I was to quitting Apex. That was it's like December 2020.
That was 2020.
Like
yeah, that was like late 2020 going into 2021.
Yeah. There was a clip in the Overlook like the center building in Overlook, not the L building and not the building near the dome, but the center one, the small A-frame, where we were on the top floor. We all three died without shooting our gun and without getting shot at. It was a caustic gas, and then it was frag grenades and an EMP. And I raged so hard that I left my stream and I told my teammates, I'm quitting. Find a new IGL. I do not play this game anymore. I will not play this game anymore. The game has turned into shit, I said, and it's all about abilities. So yeah, one of those two metas, Seer Horizon or Crypto Caustic.
What kept you playing?
I had nothing else. I would have quit. I would have actually quit if I had a job or studies or something. I would have quit, but I had nothing else.
All right. So final question from me is one that I like to ask everybody who comes on the show, because everybody that we have come on the show, they are in like the top 1% of the field that they have devoted their time to. And so what is one piece of advice that you could give somebody that would help them get to that 1% in whatever field they're going after, as someone who's clearly done that yourself?
Wait, I'm missing a word. Wait, give me a sec. Use your time wisely. Like, don't just say I have 10 hours on this specific day. I'm just gonna do my thing. Schedule your time in advance. Make sure that there isn't a minute wasted. Make sure that your time doesn't go to waste, because at least for Apex, when it came out, it was like a arms race of knowledge or skill. It was whoever got better faster. So it was all about making sure you did not waste your time, which is why I dropped out of school. I needed to make sure that I had enough time. So yeah, just making sure you don't waste your time. Don't bum around. Actually work hard. Don't, start watching some YouTube videos and chill and relax. Obviously have fun, but don't waste your time. Schedule your fun time, if anything. Just make sure you schedule your time. Get a calendar and write down your meetings, your practice and stuff like that. It's the most important thing. It's time.
Great answer.
Beautiful. Well, Gnaske, we have had you on, and honestly, this has been like a great one for me personally, just because I'm super glad to be able to have you on. Just because you've been such an important and pretty pivotal person, I think, to the community, specifically in Europe, when it comes to just your personality and how stinking good you are at the game and your IGL skills.
Thanks.
So I'm very happy to have had you on, and I hope that you enjoyed it, and I know our listeners are going to enjoy it, and we are KCP fans here on the podcast, and we wish you the best going into Split 2.
All right,
Top 3, no doubt.
Top 3.
All right, peace.
All right. Once again, shout out to Gnaske for hopping on the show. Appreciate him for hopping on. Finn, I know you last time we did like an EU preview, and I know you were sitting down watching the EU. They take place before NA. Do you want to go through and talk about some of the teams that are making waves in EU and some of the storylines around there?
Yeah, I unfortunately have to eat my words as usual. I think it seems to be a trend in on this podcast, but I did say I thought Vex Gaming was going to have to step it up. They were kind of like my guess was not going to do well, and guess what? They won a game, or they won a day. So they're actually in the top, like in first place right now. So I have to eat my words, and this is me eating them. Congratulations to everybody that was rooting against me. Ascend is in second place. 2R1C, which I'm not gonna lie, I think it's not Hackies. It's starts with an H. I'm sorry that I am not remembering it, but that's okay. But they got second place, I believe. Yeah, they got a second place on day 2, and then they ended up dropping their third and replacing with VJ, which we know from J Lings. VJ was on that team. And VJ previously announced that he wasn't going to play Split 2, but now here we go, going to be replaced. So I don't know what happened. It's shocking, really is. Everything that happens over in EU. So they're in third place. Fire Beavers won day 1, so got to give some shout out to Fire Beavers. Wyatt's favorite name of a team ever. And then FET is in 5th place, and then 6th place KCP with our boy Gnaske. We're going to be getting more in depth with him on that, and then tied with KCP is SAF, and then 8th is Alliance, which I do want to say, everybody was hating on me, but I did call that Rampart during the Legend meta, or during the Legend tier list. I said Rampart is going to be used in EU. It won't be an NA thing. And guess what? Alliance is running Rampart. I need some of your thoughts on that.
I mean, it's EU. That's what they're going to do. They're going to do different stuff. They're going to do different things. Have fun with it. I'm just excited for Rampart to finally break into Pro League. I'm sure some other team has used it before that I'm forgetting about. Maybe not, actually. That might be the one legend that like nobody's touched
there has
ever.
been an EU Rampart team in the past, and G Dolphin was ripping the Rampart.
Yeah.
But there was a team before G Dolph. G Dolph really did make an effort to make it
happen.
I think E6
but yeah, there definitely has been Rampart who's made an appearance every here and there. I personally, I didn't watch too much of it or at all. But we'll see how it goes. If there is a team that would be able to make the Rampart work, I do think that it's Alliance. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. I personally, I would not want to play comp with a Rampart.
Well, you have to play it in a certain way. It's so high risk, high reward because you have to get to zone so early and set up because if you're wrong on your zone call, you're pretty much tossed. But I will say a lot of people were saying it, and I agree. Rampart is somewhat of a counter to Catalyst. Like, because you can shoot, you can set up your wall and then just start, like, throw down a seer ult and then just start yeeting Sheila through the wall. So I thought, okay, that's actually pretty genius. So we'll see if that ends up sticking around. Another like a surprise has got to be Aurora. Like they won last split for EU, and they in their first they only played one day, and they did not pop off. And so I feel like that's got to be up there when it comes to storylines. They got 13th place on their one day. And so we'll see if they end up bouncing back. I thought that the changes of the meta would actually benefit this team, but we'll see if they are able to do a little bounce back. I didn't see any APAC South. Oh wait, hold on. Let me finish the drama. Okay. It looked like I saw on Twitter Kashira was beefing with a team called BFG. And they were fighting at Barometer, and this reminds me of the design days whenever he would just make a montage of the team that are trying to contest and then just like have some sort of 90s rap song with gameplay of the other team just getting rolled. And that's exactly what this felt like. And so Kashira's team, aka Ascend, were able to hold down their spot and just kind of started some Twitter beef, which I thought was hilarious. Okay, so I believe APAC North did not play matches this weekend. I believe they start on March 26th, so that's actually in 2 weeks. So we won't get any information on that. When it comes to APAC South, I don't think anybody's surprised to hear that Moist and Onik were the top of the leaderboard. Actually, no one's surprised at all. And so those two continue to be dominant. I will say 505 made a pretty solid run. It was so early in the morning. I only got to watch a little bit of the VOD, but yeah, it looks like Apex South's going to be dominated by Moist and Onik, of course. But yeah, and then Team Singularity, the one team that we know from land, really has dominated the South American region. It's kind of similar to the Apex South, but yeah, Team Singularity won by 30 points in their region, and so I see Team Singularity. Yeah, pretty close. I see Team Singularity making it to land pretty handedly, as well as the two Apex South teams that I had mentioned before. But yeah, that should be all the roundup, I think, for everything across the league until next weekend.
There we go. So we got Ramparts flying around. We've got teams doing well in all of the different regions of the ALGS. Boys, let's send it on down and round out the show with the Heart to Heart. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Heart to Heart time. Heart to Heart time. Does anybody want to start it off?
I feel like I need to go first.
So Kick it off. Kick it off.
I got to do my Heart to Heart first because my dog's freaking out. So I mentioned before, I love this dog to death, but I will say as a Heart to Heart situation, I will say I am learning a lot about patience, and I am learning a lot about just training. And even whenever this dog bites me and has little fangs that are like little needles that literally pierce my skin, I have to be patient and know it's literally just a baby child, not child, Enoch, as Enoch says, but a little baby puppy. And so it's no fault of its own. It's still learning. So I will say I've just learned a lot of patience. So I know this has I know we mentioned baby, but I have to give some shout out to Wyatt because he is taking care of a beautiful girl. And so I got to tip all the parents out there that have shown patience to all of their kids, because though mine's not a kid, I still feel a little tiny bit of the burden of having to take care of it. But I got to give a shout out to all the parents out there. So if you're a parent and you're listening, we love you and we appreciate you for listening to our show. Keep being awesome.
Perfect. Love it. And that's so funny that you use this as your heart to heart because you can hear the dog crying in the background. It's literally crying in the background. E, your heart to heart this week.
I mean, to be honest, I don't really have a new thing other than really just focusing on just enjoying where I'm at as much as I can, and just like me as a person, I have like very, very, very large personal goals, and like I genuinely plan on like building an empire, and I'm very, very, very excited for like all of the things that I know are waiting for me and that I'm like working towards and that I know I'm going to achieve. But I just constantly find myself on just needing to remind myself to enjoy where I'm at as much as possible, even if it's having a not so fun day of ranked. And so just enjoying every bit of it, because whether or not I choose to do my best to enjoy it, I'm going to go through whatever I'm going to go through. And so I'd rather have a more positive perception on everything that I'm going through, because at the end of the day, that's just a choice. And it's a choice that everybody has the option to make. And I constantly want to get to the point where I'm choosing the more optimistic, more happier perception of whatever I'm going through, no matter how bad it gets, that I just enjoy it as much as I can, because the alternative is just choosing a negative emotion over a more positive one, and it never helps the situation at all. And so it's just more of that, more work, more grind, and more enjoying the process, and not getting too caught up with where I know I'm going that I don't enjoy the journey there.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And you've got a bright future ahead. Heart to heart this week for me. Heart to heart this week for me. I don't think I really have one. I'm feeling good, feeling positive. Hockey's around, ALGS is around. Yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'm good this week. I don't know what the girls are doing in the other room, but they are like screaming at the top of their lungs. Um, Yeah, I don't really have one. I think I'm just feeling good. I think I'm just hanging out, chilling, having a good time. It's been great interacting with everyone on Twitter, all the listeners out there. I appreciate you guys tweeting at me and chatting it up about Apex and stuff like that. I guess that's like the cool part, is just being able to talk to so many people, and it definitely upticked since the HAL episode. So appreciate all the new listeners out there who have been saying what's up and chatting and saying what's good. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I think, yeah, I don't have anything, man. I feel good. I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling good, and I can't wait to move deeper. I can't wait till Saturday and Sunday to watch some more ALGS. I don't know if it's going to be on Saturday or Sunday this weekend, but nonetheless, there will be some upcoming. So I can't wait to watch it all. Ladies and gents, that should just about round it out for the show. Not too much more. We gave a deep preview on all these teams, and hopefully we'll have some more to talk about next week. As always, don't forget to click the link down below where all of our socials are going to be at, where you can click and follow along. We always like to retweet some of the drama as well to keep people in the loop, our listeners in the loop. So keep an eye out for that. Ladies and gents, we are going to send you on your way. We'll catch you guys next week for another episode of the Apex the Podcast. See you.